Good morning, Astronomy 120 students. I know I have at least one of you guys in here, and maybe some of you will join me later on. Anyway, the point of this meeting today is actually is to introduce the class to you guys. This recording is going to be this live session is going to be being recorded, and it's going to be posted to the class on Canvas, and I will show you what it's going to be. And we're going to talk about how this class is organized. Of course, after this meeting, I'm going to be sending a message to everybody. Once this video is, of course, downloaded and from the cloud, from where Zoom puts their stuff in, and then, of course, I will put the link for you guys, and hopefully you guys will go through it. Again, this is an introduction of Astronomy 120. I know we've been in session now since last week, but because this class is online, we're not going to be doing actually a kind of a regular meetings where you're expected to attend. Because this is online, you're expected to do things on your own at home on a regular basis, keeping up with the work, keeping up with the reading that you're required to do, and watching the different recordings that I have on Canvas for you guys. I'm sorry, and completing the different assignments that are going to be regularly posted actually on Canvas. As you have noticed already from week one, there were at least 2 assignments in week one. And besides, we're in week 2 now where we have more and more assignments. So I really want to make sure that you guys know how the class works, and also what you need to be doing on a regular basis, because the last thing that you would want to do, and this is not going to work at all, so that you know, is to leave everything toward the end and you decide, you know what, I'm taking Astronomy 120. Where is the, what kind of assignments do I have? That is way too late if you wait toward the end. So I really want you guys to make sure that you're on top of your coursework, basically, in terms of all of your assignments. And almost every assignment has a due date. And if you miss the due date, the best you can hope for is probably a partial credit, which you don't want. You want full credit for all of the things that you need to be doing. There's a lot of work to be done. It's not like 1 or 2 assignments. And there is no way that we can delay everything toward the end and decide, okay, this is, you did well, you took this class, this is basically this. And no, it's on continuous basis. So you must dedicate time on a regular basis to do your assignments. This live sessions, there will be far few in between during the semester. So the next one that we're going to be doing is actually going to be February 17th. So imagine right now we are on the 27th of February in the year 2025. The next time we will meet in about 3 weeks from today. Okay, not the 3rd. The 10th, I have actually another section of Astronomy 120 where I'm going to be meeting with, not you guys. But on the 17th, we're going to be meeting again. So we're not going to have these live sessions. Again, you are not required to attend the live session, but what is required from you to happen is that you watch the recording that we post in there, because of the relevance of these things in terms of content. Anyway, so let me jump into the Canvas to see how this class is structured, and the type of assignments that you're expected to be doing, and so on and so forth. Before I do that, let me prepare my session so that I have the correct one. I think this is the one. Okay. I think it's a good idea to pull it outside in here. Okay. So that I don't confuse it with something else. Let me go back home and let me share with you the screen. I know I was not sharing, just preparing the stuff in here. Zoom. Let me go to share, and it's this screen. Okay, so this is what happened when you come into your to your Canvas shell for your class, which is Astronomy 120, Section 70. Okay. This is the landing page. Most of the time, though, you don't want to spend a lot of time in this place. You would want to go straight into the models. That's what you would want. That's where the main action is going to be happening. I would say that's probably when 95% of the things that are happening, they will be happening in there. Let me say to this person, somebody. Anyway, so that's where you want to be, is in the models, which is on the second, which is on the left pane on this side. That's where you would want to be. That's where you want to do that. Also, there is on the landing page, there is a click on it too in here, but most of the time that's where you're going to be. Okay. There is actually on the landing page, there is an open topic discussion class, so you can ask any question in there. And hopefully, if I don't answer it, somebody else might. So it might be a simple question into, for example, when is the exam or something like that, or where can I find that resource? And somebody else might know that already. So that is one thing. The other thing also is the syllabus for the course. I already have sent you a syllabus before the class starts, so it has been more than 2 weeks now. And the syllabus page is actually just that's exactly what it is, except that this is a PDF version of that. That's exactly what you should have received, the PDF version. And again, it has all of the details, when the class starts, when the class finishes, my office hours, which is an important thing in here, where you would, because you guys are online, most of the time you probably would want to meet with me online. That's fine. You can reach out to me and say, you know what, can we meet next time? I need help with so, and that would be fine. Now, if none of these times work for you, or you can be on campus, and you would want to reach out to me, that's fine. You can always do that. And I think there is a question. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna fix that. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, some of these assignments are a little bit, they need to be adjusted. Okay. Uh, so again, if you notice something that needs to be fixed, please let me know. Thank you, Neil, for that comment. Anyway, so the point being in here is, if you want to reach out to me, if you want to meet, that would be a great thing to do on a regular basis on the times that you have assigned in there. The only thing I ask, honestly, is that you let me know ahead of time, because if I'm sitting in the office in here and nobody shows up, I may step out to go, for example, to the STEM center. As you can clearly see in here, I'm available in my office, which is Physical Science Building, room 195, where I am right now is, or I could be in the STEM center, or anywhere in the Physical Science Building, and or of course online. So for your case, your case, it's an online class. So that's probably more often where you would want to meet, and that's fine. If the time is not convenient for you, we can find another time that would work for you. So if that time is not working because you have another class, or you are going to be somewhere, or somewhere you're working or something, that's fine. We can meet, for example, on another time during a normal week, or even on weekends. So the only thing, usually I don't like to meet honestly on Saturday because I have other things to do. But other than that, Friday, usually I have a lot of time on Fridays, but sometimes Fridays we have department meetings and division meetings, and those they tend to take a little bit of time, and I may not be available on that day too, but Sundays are usually fine. Saturday, as I said before, probably in the afternoon is going to be okay. In the morning, I have other things to take care of. Other than that, I should be available for you guys, and we can meet if the time is not convenient. It's if those times that are announced are not convenient for you guys. Okay, that has to do with the office hours. Let me go back into the. I think I like the other version of the syllabus better. So let me go back home again. And let's click on the syllabus on this side. And here it takes us to the online version of the same thing that I was talking about earlier. So, and you can scroll through all of the things in here, including how the course is going to be graded. You have 3 midterms in this class. They take a big chunk of your grade, so they're very important in terms of your grades. You have homework assignments and quizzes. Those are always on Canvas. That's where you submit them. You have projects, so we're going to talk about that. As a matter of fact, it's going to be the topic of February the 17th, the meeting where we're going to be meeting. It's going to be on those projects. And then also participation assignments, okay? These are the discussions for the weekly discussions and some other stuff that has to do with the participation. If you are an SAS student, okay, I need the form and it has to be the updated form. So I can't use the one from the fall, for example. It has to be the one specific for the spring. And they have to specifically tell me what needs to be done. Some of you guys probably need time and a half. Some of you need 2 times. So whatever is a requirement for you guys that needs to be adjusted for your assignment, so that you're fairly basically assessed. So that I need that as soon as possible. Okay, before the I know quizzes are already on there, so I need that as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, I need it today if we can. Okay, okay. So that's very important. The preferred way for communications with me is actually on the left side in here. If you look at the left side, there is inbox. I can't click right now on it because I'm actually in the mode of a student, and this test student doesn't have an email, so it will not take me there, but that's basically the mode of communication. But you can send me emails if you want to. You can send me text messages, or you can come in person and have we can take care of these things. There is my email address. This is actually my Google number, just in case if you can't reach out any other way. You can always text me on this number. I receive these messages, and I will be able to reply to you, especially if something is urgent and you really needs attention. This is the part of the how the lineup of the course is. The important dates in here are on the week of uh, uh, on the week of uh, week 6, which is February 19th, you have the first midterm. Okay, that's when it's due. And then on week uh, 12, you have the second midterm just after the spring break, which is in March. Okay, and finally, the third midterm is during the finals week. So they have a lot of weight and they need to be taken care of as soon as possible. Okay. The course is divided, or the book that I'm using is the book from, let me grab it. It's Pathways to Astronomy, and this is the textbook that I'm using in this class. So I'm hoping that you guys either have a hard copy or an electronic version of this book. The book is divided into units. So if you open a book, it's units. It doesn't matter which, this is unit 7, for example, okay? And each unit is about 7 to 8 pages at most, okay? So it's really not that big of not too many units. I'm looking at unit 7, and it starts on page 51 from the book, and it actually goes into, finishes is in page 56. So this is 6 pages, okay? So 6 pages is a chunk that anybody should be able to handle, okay? So 6 pages per unit. So first week, for example, we have units 5, 6, 7, and 9. Yes, granted, now you're looking at 15, 16, 20 pages, but those are the they're not like, for example, the other books where you have a big chapter, which is so many pages, and then it goes on and on and on and on. These are units, so each unit you read it, you go through it, you try to understand it, you go through the videos, you should be able to move on to the next unit. You still have a question, please reach out, okay? Again, there is videos that can go for hours basically on these things in here. You would want to probably pause the reading the video, watch it for 10-15 minutes, and go and do something else. Make sure you go through the unit and you go take your notes, and then you divide it. I think all of the videos are about an hour and 20 minutes, between 50 minutes to all the way to an hour and 20 minutes. So that's a maximum video. So again, divide those videos into like 4 or 5 divisions, and then you should be fine. Okay. So you should be fine in addition to the textbook, which you must have anyway. So those are how the course is laid out. So again, you have different assignments. Some weeks they have less units, and some weeks they have more. If the unit is too big, it's usually 1 week, okay? If the units are kind of short, then you can lump them together, and especially if they talk about specific idea, okay? Some units you have four, some weeks you have 4 units, and some weeks you have 1 unit, so that you know it's not the same number. So that's why I like this book, honestly, because of the fact that it's not divided into chapters, but rather into books, into units, which makes it a lot easier to follow it, to move along with it. So, and not every single unit, as a matter of fact, start with unit 5, so we're skipping all too many units about the history and things like that. So some of the things that are, if you want to, you can go and read them, but you're not going to be tested on them. So what you're tested on is the different units in the book. So hopefully you guys go the ones that are listed in the syllabus. Okay. So again, this is how the course is laid out. Obviously, this book talks about everything and that has to do with astronomy, namely 3 topics. The tools used by astronomers, and those are coming from geometry and physics, okay? Math in general and physics. So we're going to discuss that, including spectroscopy, that is the study of light, wavelength, and things like that. And if you're taking Astronomy 125, which is a lab version of that, some of the labs deals with the tools used by astronomers. Telescopes, those are optical devices using light. We need to know about light, spectroscopy, and things like that. That's one thing. The other item of the discussion is the solar system. We're going to go through the solar system with the exception of the sun in the beginning. Namely, we're going to take the inner planets, the outer planets, the asteroids, the uh, what you call it, comets, and then the moons, the dwarf planets, all of them. But we're not going to go through each and every one of them. There are way too many. And sometimes I used to teach this class, and it was divided into two. One of them is just for the solar system. We could take an entire semester just talking about solar system. As a matter of fact, we can take more than that if we need to. But the point is, we're going to take some representations. We're going to focus on some topics. One of them is, of course, the Earth. It's representative of the solar system. We take what we learn about the Earth and we project it into the inner planets, like, for example, Mars. Or Venus. In our case, we're going to take Venus. We're not going to be taking Mars, which is so similar to the Earth. And it's going to teach us stuff related to the Earth. What could the Earth be? Okay. If things go one way or the other. Okay. And then we're going to lump the other 2 planets, namely Mercury and Venus, together. But Mercury has a point that we're going to focus on when we study the moon, because its outer surface looks similar to the moon, and that can teach us also something else about the solar system, namely the different craters that are on its surface. Tells us about its history and the history of the solar system, and it doesn't look too different from the moon. As a matter of fact, it doesn't look too different from one of the moons of Jupiter, namely Ganymede, and as a matter of fact, Callisto also. So that tells us what happened early on in the solar system. And the other moons, for example, for Jupiter, namely Io and Europa, they don't have the same features. So that tells us something else is going on with them too. So again, we're going to sample things from the solar system. We don't have enough time to go through every one of those topics, okay? We're going to take Jupiter, Saturn, and also we're going to lump together Uranus and Neptune. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the dwarf planets, Pluto and Eris, and also some of those objects in the solar system. And there are way too many dwarf planets than actual planets. So that there are too many. And then we're going to talk about the Kuiper belt. We're going to talk about the asteroid belt. We're going to talk about the Oort cloud. We're going to take all of these objects in the solar system and the dynamics and how the solar system came out to be. So this is a big topic. Okay. Obviously, then we move to the stars and we take our sun as an example, and then we move to the different kind of stars, and we see that the stars, they come in different classes, different groups, different forms, different sizes, different sizes in terms of physical size, how big they are, and in terms of also different masses, different ages, how old they are, and different stages of their age where they because they go through a life cycle. So we're going to explore that and see where they end up with. Group of stars, they make clusters and clusters of stars, they make galaxies. So we're going to go move on to the galaxies, and galaxies, they interact with one another. As a matter of fact, galaxies devour each other. So we're going to see the dynamics of how galaxies interact with one another. And then we're going to take the entire universe as a whole, which is made up of clusters of galaxies, okay? The clusters of galaxies. So we're going to take that entire thing into, again, physical properties and also in time, how the system was, how the universe was, how it started to begin with, and where it's going to go. So the topics in this class are very, 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 very big. They go from the smallest to the biggest, whether it's a tiny rock that is going to asteroid that is going to hit the Earth, all the way to the entire observable universe, which is super big, and the stars that are formed, the constellations, and all of this thing. Constellations, as we're going to start with that, because that's actually part of the tools used by astronomers, at least the early on, and how these things evolved. So those are the topics in this class. So it's a big, big thing. So again, we can't just do one assignment and we'll be done with it. So it can't be done that way. So we have a lot of assignment. So let me jump into the models in here, which is most of the times where we need to be. Okay. Again, the models. Again, we finished week 1, which was last week. Now we're in week 2. And I'm not sure what you're talking about, Neil, because it should say February 7th when the discussion is due. But I will check it anyway, so you don't have to worry about it. I will check it, okay? Oops, did I open it? I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back in here. Oh, probably. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I'll remove that. That's not part of this system anyway. So sometimes things pop up for you guys because under the assignments probably, and I'm going to fix that tab. Okay, again, please focus just on the stuff that is in here in the models. Okay, so when you come in, look at the models. Don't have to go with the tasks that you need to be doing. If you follow the steps, task to task, you should be in good shape. Now I'm going to fix that still. I know that when you load Canvas, let me go back to home. On the left-hand side, it's going to probably show you what is due. As you can, on the right-hand side, it's showing stuff in here, announcements and assignments and things like that. So I'm going to clean up that side in here so that it shows you only the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, okay? Anyway, so let me go back into the models again. So week 1, we had to go through all of these things, and week 2 is where we are. Right now, I look at the objectives for week 2, content for week 2, and also the discussion for week 2. So if I click on the discussion for week 2, which I wanted to do in the beginning, so it's giving me the item of the discussion and also how it's graded. There is something that I think you're right on that. Okay, it needs to be fixed anyway. Oh yeah, that's what it says. So it needs to be fixed, okay? But the due date on it is February 7th at 11 p.m. Anyway, so let me go back into the models again. Okay, so every week is going to give you what the objectives are and the different assignments. For this week, you have a quiz, which is due on the 14th, and you have the discussion items. For the previous week, it has also 2 discussion items, actually. The first one, which was like an icebreaker activity, which is this one, and the second one, which is the week one discussion. Okay. You have to remember something in here. Every week you will have a discussion item, almost. Not all weeks, though. Down the road, you might be wondering what happened to this week's discussion because there is none. Usually, when we have a midterm, we don't have a discussion in that week, so that you know, as a general rule. But we may have something lingering from the weeks before. So if the week before has an assignment that is due, for example, in this week, wherever we have a midterm, so that assignment is still due. So I'm hoping that you do your assignment before they are due. Okay. So let me go into this one in here because this is an item. Again, I'm looking at things from the vantage point of a student. So this is not a, this is a student that is a test student that is used on Canvas. Okay. So this assignment was available on the 21st, which is when the school starts. And the maximum point I get on this one is 15 points, and it's due February 3rd, which is a week from today. Okay, February 3rd is a week from today. Okay. Uh, this assignment, almost every assignment, they should have a rubric in here, okay, of how it's going to be graded. This assignment, I will get at most for it is 15 points if I do all of these things and how it's asking me to do them. If I do them in excellent, I will get this 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, a total of 15 points. Now, this assignment, let me load it in its window. Okay, so I'm gonna load this window in here. That's how usually, at least some assignment, you have to load it in an external window. If you load it for the first time, it's going to give you instructions on how to do this assignment. Okay, so basically, you're supposed to follow the instructions in here and steps in here. That's how you're supposed to do, and this is what you need to do. Post your primary and your replies. And there is a PDF file in here that I need to look at and create a post in here, okay? So create a post based on that profile in here. Obviously, some other people also have made comments. I can see them in here. I'm looking at it as one of you guys, as a student, so you should be able to look at the same things. So if I look at in here and load this PDF file, it's going to be a PDF file that has different points. So for this discussion, so that you know, you're supposed to pick up one of these items, okay? If you're liking, there are 17 items that people argue why the Earth is flat, okay? So somebody thought that the Earth is round. If the Earth is round, explain this. How come, for example, that the lever that is used by the construction people always show it leveled? So if it's bent, why it doesn't really bend one way or the other? So that's an argument somebody is using why the Earth is flat. And you can go on and on and on and find one of the 17 arguments. For example, if the Earth is flat, how come, I mean, if the Earth is round, how come my body doesn't go like this when I'm sleeping? Part of my body is bent that way. Okay, again, people are arguing the reason why the Earth is flat is because when I sleep on my bed, I look straight, okay? And so on and so forth, okay? And the shoes, if the Earth is round, they should really have this bending in them. They don't, they're flat. Okay, so again, you're supposed to look at any one of these arguments and basically argue against it and see why the Earth is actually not flat, but rather it's round, okay? Rather, it's a spherical shape. So that's really the topic of the day. I know it's supposed to be fun. I know that you guys know the Earth is not flat, but just so that you can start discussing it amongst yourselves and things like that. So part of the assignment is to introduce yourself, introduction, and discuss amongst yourselves into what's going on and make an idea, propose a solution to the problem. Then you make a summary and you post your summary. So basically, you look into one of those points, you pick it up, you analyze it, you think about it. You may even reach out to some of your peers and see why so and so is not correct, and then you come up with an argument against it and you post that. So that's going to be your initial post. It has an introduction and also the point that you picked up and you tore it apart. Then part of the assignment also, so that's going to consist of your primary post. Part of your assignment also is you at least have to reply to two of your peers, basically, based on their discussions and their introductions. And you're going to give them positive feedback into what way they think that is. And if there is, of course, something that you don't agree with it, you can still be positive by making that kind of, okay, the argument you presented is actually very good, but I can look at it from this way, and I find a different way of looking at it and how it's supposed to be. Okay, there are some rules in here of engagement. So let me go back into this assignment. Again, the idea is to introduce yourself and you get you started on how to do this assignments for the class. So let me go back one step, if I can. The online rules for our classes, you have to be respectful, you have to be mindful, you have to know how to discuss with your peers and how to respect their opinions and so on and so forth. So you need to read this rules, and there are 14 of them, and at the end you have to mark as done. If you don't do it as done, that means you didn't read this one or you don't agree with it. Okay, so every week it has stuff that is has assignments that are due. Again, is the earth flat? It has the initial reply, which is due by the 31st, which is this Friday, and then the final post, which is supposed to be done by the Monday. Okay, so it has two due dates actually in it, and then the discussion from this week. So let me go next. Okay, so I'm just following now the content from this model, week 1 model. So this is where we were. Assuming that we have done that, we're gonna go next. Okay, then that's the discussion for week 1. This one is worth 5 points. Okay, there is no need to do replies in here, but if you find something useful you would want to share with everybody, again, the idea from the first assignment is there is a way for you to do that. Please do so. Okay, you're supposed to be reading the chapter, actually the unit, but also there are some PowerPoints in here. So this is not completely a helpless situation. In addition to that, I provided some videos to discuss some of these ideas in here and how to help you with your class. Okay, again, hopefully you find this one useful. And you're gonna move next. Okay, wait. This page is sometimes loaded with the content pages usually are loaded with pictures which are big, so sometimes they take a little bit of time to load on Canvas. Again, this is a summary. This is not in lieu of reading. This is just a summary of what you're supposed to be reading, what you find out, constellations and things like that, and so on and so forth, seasons. So that's the unit, summary of the unit, not the actual unit. Okay. Again, this is again similar to that, except that this is a PowerPoint. So if you're more into PowerPoints while you're reading, you can go through these PowerPoints and see the relevance of the topics that are discussed in there. Okay, but this does not replace the reading from these units that you have them on Canvas. So this is just a summary. Okay, that's what you can think of it. You still have to do the reading. Now, this is, let me click on it. So this is a previous recording. Okay, I paused it right now. And it's about 1 hour and 12 minutes for this entire topic. So if in case that while you did your reading, you still need help, I would recommend you have to go through this one. It's a good idea to do it anyway. Okay, so again, this is a previous recording. That's another hour and 3 minutes or something like that. So again, this is a previous recording. So this is from 2022. And both of them are from that year. But again, the topic did not change from that year until now. So that's why the recordings are still valid. So again, every week we'll have that. So when we're done with this, we're done with this model. Okay. We're done with model 1. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for week 2 and so on and so forth. So the idea, hopefully you get it. Now you'll have objectives, you'll have discussion items, you'll have other assignments, namely quizzes or homework assignments. When we come to homework assignments, we're going to discuss them down the road. So again, we're going to be meeting on February 17th, where we're going to talk about different types of assignments. Some of this assignment, they would require you to do a little bit of math. It's not complicated math. You should be able to multiply, divide, and do those things, which is basic operations, basic stuff. Because unfortunately, without it, some of these ideas that we're discussing in class, they will not they will not, how should I say, uh, 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 they will not be well understood unless we do that. One of the assignments, for example, one of the homework assignments is to understand the idea of total solar eclipse or total lunar eclipse, and why is it so? So what we do in this case is we take the radius of the sun divided by the radius of the moon, and we find the number to be about 400. Okay, we take the distance from the Earth to the Sun divided by the Earth from the Earth to the Moon, and we find the ratio to be about 400. So in this case, the Sun, the Moon, if it were to go in front of the Sun, it will cover it exactly, and we have a total solar eclipse. If the Earth were to stand between the Earth and the Moon, and the Earth will cover actually the Moon during the night, and then we have a total lunar eclipse. And this is a unique feature, by the way, for the Earth and the Moon and the Sun. Other planets, like for example, Jupiter, that has some 70 some odd moons, or Neptune, that has far more moons than Jupiter, or doesn't matter which planet it has moons, they don't have this peculiarity, if you wish, this odd thing about them, where the ratio of the distance from the moon to the sun and the size of the moon to the sun is the same ratio. Okay, so that is one of the assignments, by the way. So you should be able to divide these numbers. If you're given the radius of the moon, the radius of the sun, you divide the two numbers. You're given the distance from the Earth to the moon, the Earth to the sun. You should be able to divide these two numbers and compare the two numbers. That's part of the assignment, for example, that we have in there. So you should be able to do this thing. So without doing really this kind of math, I would explain it like I'm doing right now, but for you, it's a ha-ha moment when you discover that thing that hey, there is this actual exception. Because tomorrow, on your own time, you can take, for example, the moon Io, which is the closest moon to Jupiter, and you divide its size, its radius, to the radius of the sun, which is about 400, by the way, because Io is slightly bigger than Earth's moon. But you take the distance from Jupiter to 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 uh, to the sun versus the distance from Jupiter to Io, the ratio is not the same. It doesn't matter. Take another moon. Take Europa, for example, or take, which is the second moon of Jupiter, which is the closest moon, or Ganymede, or Callisto, or any of the moons, or Titan, for example, for Saturn. It doesn't matter which moon you take, you'll find that it doesn't work. But for the Earth and the Sun, it does work. So this is one of the assignments that we have in there. And that's one of the homework assignments. And we have other homework assignments. Another homework assignment, for example, is you use a method used by the Mayans to predict when will be the next Earth, when will be the next total solar eclipse, for example, in North America. Okay, knowing what it happened, for example, in the year 2027, so you should be able to predict when and where the next solar eclipse is going to happen, the total solar eclipse. You'll be amazed by how that is. Obviously, it's just counting the years, okay, following the pattern, how many years there is, and taking into account the fact that there are years with 366 days and 365, because a year actually is not 365, but 365 and quarter. So that's why we have sometimes February is 29 days and sometimes February is 28 days. This year, February is 28 days because of the fact that this is not a leap year. So the point being in here is that uh, this assignment, they help us understand what we do. They help us understand these concepts. And that's the idea behind it. Okay. So yes, you will have homework assignments and they will rely a little bit of math, which is not complicated. You have difficulty with them, you reach out. Don't spend too much time on them. Okay. How much time do we need to spend? Had we been meeting in person on campus, if we were to meet in person on campus, you will have 2 sessions a week. Each session is an hour and a half. That's 3 hours. So you need to at least spend 3 hours on your own at home. If you were to meet on campus, you will need at least another 2 hours to spend at home between reading and also homework assignments. So that's a total of 5 hours. Now, because we have to, that's a minimum. I'm not saying maximum. This is just to basically get us the bare minimum. But if I want to excel, I need to spend more than that. I would say that the minimum is 6 hours. The maximum should be about 8 hours. That's how much time needs to be spent at home on this class. If you think you can do it per week, you're going to be really having difficult. You're going to experience difficulty in this class because it's not something like, okay, I'm going to wait for the midterm and I will be done with it. If you do that and you do the midterms right, you're all getting is 50% of the grade. There is discussion items that are weekly needed, homework assignment, participation, all kinds of things that brings up the total grade to where it needs to be 100%. So there are assignments in this class. So it's not like taking an online class, it's a sure A or a sure B. No, you really need to earn it, okay? As a matter of fact, there is probably more work in this class, honestly, than the regular in-person class, because in person, usually you have yes, yes, you can. I will be posting. So the question is, can we work ahead? Absolutely. Okay. Except as I was saying in here, assignments have a due date, so some of the weeks will not open until their due time. Okay. So for example, I'm not going to be opening the midterm right now because we have to build up towards it. Okay. The midterm, for example, has a limited time where you're going to be submitting it. So the point being in here is please spend the time that you need for this class. The question that needs to be answered in here, and hopefully, the plan, I should say, is the following. If you are in campus, you know exactly where you're meeting. For example, today I have had a class already that met at 8 o'clock. We ended the class a little after 9 o'clock, around 9:20, when the class was dismissed. So students in that class, they know from 8 to 9:20, they know where they are supposed to be on Monday and also on Wednesday. So they know exactly when they're supposed to be. For you, you really need to do the same thing. Because it's an online class, you have the luxury of planning your own time. You say, okay, I want to have my Astronomy 120, dedicate an hour and a half for it. Let's say, for example, on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. I'm not sure. For example, Wednesday, it's a free time for you at that time. You can be in the library, you can be at home, you can be wherever you want to, but that time is dedicated for my Astronomy 120. I can't be on, for example, available on Thursday, but Friday, for example, at 10 o'clock, I also have that time, or 4 o'clock, I have that time, or 5 o'clock, or Saturday, for example, in the morning from 8 to 9:30. Okay, that's astronomy. I have to stick to that schedule as much as I can. Granted, sometimes I can't, less like in-person class. Sometimes you can't make it to school for one reason or the other. Same thing at home. But you really need to dedicate that time to astronomy. Reading the units, watching the videos, doing the assignments, that is like you are in person. In addition to that, you will have to spend an hour to 2 hours a week minimum. So you can do it half an hour if you want to here, another half an hour in there, 45 minutes. But let's say, for example, if I'm taking an in-person class and I have Monday at 8 o'clock and Wednesday at 8 o'clock, 4 o'clock on Friday, for example, for me is the time because let's say, for example, I'm working or I have other classes. 4 o'clock, for example, on me on Friday is where to sit down and go through all of my homework assignments for this class and other classes, okay? 4 o'clock, for example, is for me to take care of all of the readings I'm supposed to be doing. During that time, there is an allocated time for this class. So it's not just an hour and a half that you have to do twice a week, but in addition to that, you have to allocate more time for it for other assignments. If you do that, I guarantee you you're going to have in the best time in this class, you're going to enjoy it. Okay. If you don't do that and you leave it toward the end or toward where the midterms are and you start thinking about it, that is prescription for failure. I'm sorry to say that, but that's what it is. You're not going to be enjoying the class, you're not going to be learning from the class, and you're going to struggle with this class. I really urge you to be organized. You have total freedom on how you plan your class, but you at least have to have that in mind. Put it in your schedule. Here is, put it in, stick it on the refrigerator somewhere, put it on your phone as a reminder. Okay, this time is for Astronomy 120, twice a week. And this time is doing my assignments at home for all the classes or including the two classes or whatever I'm taking. And part of it is my astronomy stuff. I have a problem, reach out to the instructor. I have a question, ask the instructor. Or go to the open discussion and ask everybody. After all, this is a classroom where we build this community, and part of it is that you can reach out and work with your peers. As a matter of fact, you are strongly encouraged to work with your peers. Some of you already are sitting in my Astronomy 125, which is the lab version of this class, and you will notice that all of the labs actually require you to work in teams and submit your lab reports in teams. The same thing holds true in this case in here. Projects, homework assignments, you're strongly urged to work in teams. I don't have a problem with you copying somebody else's work as long as you pull your own weight and know exactly what you're doing. However, when it comes to exams, they are timed, and you don't have time. If you start researching every question, you're gonna run out of that time. So for exams, they're supposed to be self-contained and you have to do them on your own. Okay, that's basically what I wanted to discuss in this case in here. Granted, we're going to be meeting on the 17th of February to discuss two things, homework assignments. And more importantly, at that time, we're going to be discussing the project that is coming down the road and also plan for our first midterm so that we can discuss. As a matter of fact, that week is when the midterm is due. So that's going to be the top priority. But then in addition to that, we discuss other assignments. Sounds good? Okay, great. So I'm going to end the recording and I'm gonna see you guys when next time is, or if you guys have any questions, we don't have to wait for the 17th. We can still meet before that. Now, here is one thing. If your question, for example, I judge that it has value and merit that everybody can benefit from it, I can reach out to your classmates in one of two ways. Either blast a message through Canvas, like the one that you guys received for this meeting, and you will know, okay, there was an issue with so and so, here is how to correct it, or something like that, or how to discuss it. Or I could ask, with your permission, the person who asked that question to record it, and I'm going to remove any irrelevant personal information from it and just leave the stuff that is related to the class and say, okay, this is the question that was asked, and this is the items that were there. So I'm going to record that part and post it again on campus. So, but please do ask. That's the only way to make the class better is by with you guys asking questions and reaching out and making sure that you get what you need to get. Okay. Very good. Thank you. I got it. Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to end the recording and see you guys.